Hello, I'm Simon from CareCo and I'm going to show you how to assemble the iCONNECT Zora power chair. As you can see, I've taken all the items from the packaging and placed that to one side. I have the main frame for the Zora, the seat pad cover, the battery, the foot plates, a retaining strap for your legs, a charging cable and also the main joystick. The first part to putting all the parts together on the Zora is to open out the framework. In order to do this, place your hands on the armrests and simply lift and pull apart. Once it's open, as you can see here, place your hands on the sides of the seat base and push firmly. It will clip into position, as you can see. Once this has been done, we can now lift up the backrest. So simply lift on the handles and they will click into position. First the right hand side and then the left. We can now fit the seat pad onto the seat base. The seat pad is held in position with Velcro on the back of it. In order to fit at the top or towards the front of the chair, we have this narrower section. So we ensure that faces towards the front of the Zora. Align with the framework and the seat base, place into position and fold over and under to secure with the Velcro on the front. Once in position, we can move on to the next step. In order to fit the foot plates to the Zora, we need to ensure that we've got them the correct way round. As you can see, once I open out the foot plate, the orientation is as so, and the opposite will be said for the other side. Before we can fit them, during shipping there is some protective covers to the framework. Both of these need to be removed. They simply pull off and can be placed to one side. We also need to remove a C-clip. This is what retains the foot plate into position. Simply lift and then you can unfold the foot plate out, place into the framework and then reposition the C-clip to retain the foot plate into position. We can now repeat this on the other side. So I've already removed the protective cap, remove the C-clip, unfold the foot plate, place into the framework and retain into position using the C-clip again. If you wish, you may want to fit the ankle support, this strap here. Not everybody uses one of these, but it does prevent your feet from falling off the foot plates. To install it, it's held on with Velcro. Simply place around the framework of the foot plate and secure with the Velcro, as you can see. We're now going to fit the controller, or the joystick, as you can see here. This is what controls the Zora for moving around. In order to do this, on the right hand side armrest there is a little lock that you can undo. You could actually fit to the left hand side if you're left-handed, but there is a slot at the front and we simply place this inside the slot and then tighten and secure in position with the hand knob underneath. Once secured, we can then connect this to the main controller of the Zora. You'll find a wire with a screw lock on it, and we just need to align this connection to put it together and then tighten up the two sections together. Just ensure that the cable is routed so that it's not going to catch on the wheel or dangle on the floor. Before we install the battery, we should have ensured that we've had it on charge. The charging time is up to around 8 hours, but will be dependent upon how often it's been used. Please check with the user manual or our website for further instructions on how to charge the battery. To install this, we simply place the battery against the framework and then we push down until there's an audible click. Once in position, we need to remember to turn the battery on or off when not in use. When the battery is switched on, it's worth noting that after 10 or so hours, the battery will actually turn itself off and will need to be reset by turning it off and on again. This is all separate from the on button on the joystick. That's all of the components now together on the Zora Powerchair. There is, as you can see down here, a seat belt for the occupant that simply releases and clicks together as so. And before you turn the Zora on, you need to ensure that the drive or freewheel levers are engaged into the drive mode. At the moment, I can push it because it's in freewheel mode, but if I was to turn it on, it wouldn't actually be controllable via the joystick because it's not in gear. In order to do this, remember with a Powerchair, there's two levers. So we need to engage them both. Simply click the red levers forwards. I now cannot push the Powerchair and it will be ready to be driven once it's turned on. The Zora also has an optional extra, which is the attendant bracket. Please do check our website for the latest prices and details about this item. The attendant bracket has been designed specifically for the Zora and allows the joystick to be moved and located to the handle at the rear of the Zora. I've taken the attendant bracket out of its packaging and I've laid it on the floor in front of me. As you can see, it consists of a plastic bracket, a metal tube and its nuts and bolts to hold it together. I've also got some of my own household tools. You will require a Phillips screwdriver, an Allen key and a 10mm spanner in order to fit the attendant bracket to the handle at the rear. To start, we have this plastic bracket which has been specifically moulded to fit around the handle on the rear of the Zora. As you can see, this opens out, and if you look inside, there is a wider section which needs to go towards you and a narrower section which goes towards the front of the Powerchair. This is because, as I've mentioned, it's been moulded to fit onto the shape of the handle at the back here. We can place this now onto the handle and then close that up so that it sits snugly on the handle, as you can see. To fit the actual attendant bracket, which is what holds the joystick, we need to ensure that the slot at the back here is facing towards the back of the Zora. We then locate this bracket into the plastic section that we placed around the handle. Align it with the holes and then we can insert the bolts in and through. I'm just going to use my fingers to tighten this for now. Having placed the locking nuts on the reverse side, I'm now going to take my 10mm spanner and tighten those up. Once these have been tightened, the bracket is now secure on the handle. With the bracket fitted, we now need to move the joystick to the rear. However, before we do this, we need to disconnect the battery and also disconnect the joystick from its connection on the side. To remove the battery, simply press the button on the top, lift up, and we'll place the battery to one side, putting it back once we're finished. For the joystick, we just need to disconnect the cable, unscrew the two sections and pull apart. We can now remove the joystick, release the thumb wheel and take the joystick out. This is done by simply removing the two screws by using a Phillips screwdriver. I've removed the bracket from the joystick and I've also removed the cable which ran through the hole in the middle. I'm going to turn this round through 180 degrees and then place the screws back into the joystick. With the bracket relocated, you can still access the charge port through the hole if you wish. Remember that you can always charge the battery direct, however. One thing to note is that you will lose access to the USB charging port under the joystick. So now we're going to relocate the joystick into the attendant bracket itself. Simply slot that into position. And remember, we need to take the thumb wheel that was existing within the armrest. Place this into the threaded section and tighten as before. We now just need to reconnect these cables. I'm going to place the cable over the attendant bracket and then reconnect to the cable, ensuring that we screw up these two sections here. It's worth checking that the cable is not fouling on anywhere and that the cable is free from any of the electronics and also the rear wheel. With the joystick relocated to the rear and using the attendant bracket, we can now relocate the battery. As before, simply fit into position and press down. I'm going to turn the battery on. With the attendant bracket fitted and the joystick now moved and relocated to the rear, I can now turn the joystick on and I can control the Zora from the rear. Right. So there we have the attendant bracket fitted and ready for use.